Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you're new. In this video I'm sharing with you a new template, which is my mini template number 13, and it's named mini template number 13 because the shape of the petal here, or at least just one little petal, is modeled after template number 13, which is a larger template that I have. I'm going to link the video to template number 13 down in the description box if you're interested, but I'd like to take some of my larger templates and use those petals for mini templates because I like the petals that I create. I generally just create what I like or love, and so I like to reuse those in smaller forms, again in this mini templates. With this flower here, which is made with this exact shape here, it's something that I could just do really easily, put it together and move on to either the next flower or just make a large batch of them to fill in the spaces. I think this is a template that just works really well. It's fairly versatile with the ways that I've made it. I'm only showing one way here in this video. So again, my motivation is to make flowers quickly with a very nice output. The template itself actually has 4 different variations. So here there's a 6 petal variation. I do have one with 5 petals, one with 7, and one with 8. Those all come as one template. If you're interested in purchasing, I will be listing it in my Etsy shop, link down below. However, the main template petal is this one here, the 6 petal template. If you're only using PDFs, if you don't have a cutting machine, I will have the 5 petal and the 6 petal one available in a PDF, but not the 7 and the 8. It just becomes too hard to cut out without a cutting machine, and I'll just leave more information down below. You can check that out if you wanted, just throw that out there. So mini template number 13, I am going to show you the easiest way possible to make this template, or use this template I should say. And hopefully this video is very quick. I say that about every video and that never ends up happening. So this is the same exact flower used from these pieces here. And it is a 4-inch wide petal. So here is 4 inches wide. This height dimension is a little bit shorter. So when I say 4 inches wide, it just means this dimension here, and every template comes with a sizing chart. So just to start, all that I do with these petals is just curl them and glue them together. I don't even add a center. So if I peel back this here, I don't add a center in the middle. However, you could do that if you want to add a little more detail to your flowers, but this is something that I even just leave out. To me, it looks like a garden rose, and that's kind of what it's modeled after here. But there are a lot of different ways that you can play around with this template and get a different look. So here I have 8 pieces of the same size. I can see how I'm just using piece way too much. So there's 8 pieces total, and this is all that I cut out for each flower. So all I do here is just curl. That's all that I'm doing. So I have my bone folder here, which is my favorite thing to use to curl. And I'm just curling one side, and then I move to the next. This tends to be the easiest way to curl for me. And then I flip it over, and then I use the bone folder again from underneath and just curl like that. If you have a rod, that's probably easier, something that's cylindrical shaped. So that just gives me a little bit of a curl. And then what I do like to do is just bend back the petal at the base. It creates a little bit of a hexagon in the middle. It just makes it easier for the petals to move. So I do that with every single piece here. And because I'm not adding a flower center, I just think that this makes it a lot easier because you can cut these petal pieces in batches and just curl them all in batches as well. And then finally just even assemble them all as a batch. Alright, so now I have all of my petals curled and creased the way that I want it to. All I do here is just start gluing. So the first petal layer, all I do is add glue. And then I overlay the very second petal over the top, and I try to offset it so that the petals sit offset by 1 in the middle of the petal from the layer before. So if this is my first layer of petals, I want to take my second one and place the first petal or any of the petals in between the petals from the previous layer. Like that, so it creates a nice little layer of petals, and then you don't see any of that spacing from between petals here. So doing that makes it look a little fuller. So I want to do the same again. I want to take one petal and then glue the second piece over the top, offset it so that this top layer is in between the petals from the previous layer, and then just glue these two together. So I am moving fairly quickly because that's simply this template. You can move fairly quickly. So we take one piece and I actually scrunch it up like this. It doesn't matter how, you can shape that later, but it becomes sort of like a rosebud. And I take this, and when I do that, I see sort of the hexagon base underneath. So I'm going to glue any of these points on this hexagon to the middle of a petal from the previous layer. So it could be any petal here. I just want to make sure that this point touches the middle of the petal from the previous layer. And so what I mean by that is it just helps me figure out where to glue the petal layer so that I have it nicely even spaced. So this point here should sit in the middle if I'm using this petal as my reference here. So if I just use my bone folders as a guide, it'll sit right there. So that's where the point would sit. If I'm gluing it, you want it to be right in the middle of this petal here, or any single petal on this layer. So that way I know that it's spaced exactly where I want it. So I'm going to add glue. I'm going to choose an arbitrary point, so this point here, and I want that to sit in the middle of this petal here as my reference. And I just make sure that it falls exactly where I want it, and then I let go. So I do that for all of the layers that I have left. So all I do is just scrunch it up and add glue. And then find that middle point on the petal underneath. And as I'm going, I'm still pushing these petals together. So I want them to sit closer and closer together. What you can do is just stick your fingers in and then just press it down so that it sticks together. So I have one petal layer left, and this, again, I'm going to do the same process. Add glue, and then I'm going to glue it the same exact way. I'll push all the petals back, and then glue it right in the middle. And those are all my petal layers from here. I just do a little bit of shaping. So I want that very last petal layer that I glued to sit tightly together. So I'm going to push that so that it sort of sits close together, and then start pushing some of the outer petals closer. If you want, you can just glue some of the petals right there in the center together so that it sticks better. But I just leave it alone. It covers enough space so that it looks like it forms sort of that rosebud in the center. And from here, I'm done with my flower. And that way, it's super easy. I just need one petal shape, especially if I'm making the same size for each flower. So that is it for the actual flower. You can add a flower center to the middle if you feel like it would finish it off well. You can go for maybe a small yellow flower center in the middle so that it looks like it's the center where all of the petal stamens and pistils are. It is super easy. As you could tell, all I needed was 8 pieces of the same petal shape, and it just required a little bit of curling and then just gluing it together, a small amount of shaping, and then you have your finished flower. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Again, this is made to be something that was very easy, but I think this template, as are any template, is very versatile, and you can make any type of flower you want just by varying different things. Personally, I think this is a great template for you to fill in any sort of spaces in between flowers. I like to call those filler flowers. So flowers you stick underneath so that there's something there. It doesn't look like it's just bare underneath 2 larger flowers, but also it's very easy to make. I think it adds great amount of detail to backdrops without having to put a lot of work into them. So that is it for this flower. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.